All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining us. I'm Andrea Miller. I'm founding board member for Center for Common Ground. And we are having, I'm going to call it family night tonight, where we are going to just internally be talking about our campaigns that we are running now and all the new campaigns that will be starting very, very soon. And our board member, Katie Hornung, is here. Katie's going to be talking about the Vote Equality campaign. Now, for all my other team that's on, I need you to mute everyone's microphone because, oh, here, I've got it. That should have worked. I was going to say it wasn't working from security. We got that. All right. So, yes, we're going to have a great, great, great recording. So, we already completed the Texas primary. That was March 1st. We have a special election coming up on March 31st that is probably going to be handled exclusively by texting. That is a state house district in South Carolina 31. That is where our Democracy Center is located in Florence County. After that election, we will be working on literally 3 back-to-back primaries. North Carolina is having a primary on May 17th, and then the following week will be the Georgia primary and the Alabama primary. Now, North Carolina and Georgia both are early voting states. So that means that we will be initially doing our GOP campaign around early voting. As we approach the end of early voting, we will switch to election day voting. Alabama does not have early voting. They only have election day voting. That is also true of South Carolina. So, Gabe, do you want to go next and talk about phone banks, when they're going to be up?
Yeah, we're gonna put North Carolina phone banks up as soon as we have the data, which should be by next week. So those are going to be GOTV phone banks where we're going to be sharing early voting locations with voters, and we're going to start in a few specific counties, basically as soon as the early voting locations are available, which they are in Union, Mecklenburg, Wake County, Durham County, and a few other ones. So a lot of big counties. And then we're going to add Georgia, get out the vote phone banks when those become available as well.
All right. Thanks a lot. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. Carrie, postcards. Postcards are already starting.
We are launched, folks. We've got, we're going to have an interesting experience with doing multiple campaigns at the same time, which will be great practice for the fall when we have 9 campaigns going. And our wonderful webmaster D came up with a lovely way to get into, let's see, the multiple postcard images without getting confused. Are you seeing what I'm sharing?
Yes,
Oh,
it's
great.
sharing.
Awesome. So here we can click on this Alabama, get out the vote, and click on the Google. Oh, my computer is not liking this. But anyway, here's the preview, and you can open it, and you've got the Alabama sample postcard. Well, you do if you're not on my computer right now. It's not liking the multitasking, but you have to take my word for it. There it is. Here it comes. Come on, baby. There's the sample, and the sample is not an edict. It is just, a serving suggestion. So, because sometimes these scripts are hard to format, so we're making a suggestion of how we think is the easiest way to format it after multiple trial and error ourselves. And let's see, Georgia. Okay, I can't close this because it's behind my.
Dismiss your Firefox update. Get that out of there.
There's also.
Oh,
What did you
yeah,
say?
you got a bunch. You got. I said if you dismiss.
So I've got a.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not finding the X to close this one, but it does exist somewhere. And then here's the Georgia one. And North Carolina, we don't have the sample card done yet, but we just got the script all set. So sample cards tomorrow, and next week we're going to have 3 campaigns in there. And it's going to be fun. So if you are writing Alabama, because we got the last one first, we have the data first for Alabama. If you're writing for Alabama, make sure that if you go, ooh, I want to do Georgia too, or ooh, I want to do North Carolina too, make sure that you put Alabama in a separate folder or box or something, so we don't get the labels and addresses all mixed together, which would be a disaster. So that is our request. And now I'm going to stop sharing, but I don't know how to do that.
I got it.
Pause the share. Maybe that would work. Okay, great. Thank you. Oh, here it is. All right. Sorry, that's the first time I've done that. So.
Oh, all right. Yeah, there was a download window, and if you dismissed that, then you would have been able to see everything else.
I saw the spot.
Nancy's on vacation tonight.
Yes.
So.
And Barbara also.
Yes, normally the people who do this.
So these scripts, the early voting scripts, are really emphasizing the early voting and avoiding long lines on election day, which is super important. And also we're emphasizing the issues. These are issue-based scripts, that this is what's at stake. So hopefully that will be motivating to voters who may or may not vote normally, and we'll increase the numbers, and it'll be helpful because the fall, they'll know what to do. They've already gone through it in the primary, and it'll be a lot easier to navigate all that in the fall. So that's
all right. Great, thank you. And one of the other things that will be very special, and it's only in the North Carolina campaign. In the North Carolina campaign, one of the reasons we really love early voting in North Carolina is, even though our addresses should be all to registered voters, if other family members decide, hey, I think I'm going to go early vote too, if it turns out you are not registered to vote in North Carolina and you appear for voting during early voting in North Carolina, you can register and early vote on the same trip. That will not be true in any of our other states. That is unique and peculiar to North Carolina. And yes, we are now going to switch from all the work that we do, because we are a voting rights organization. And now we're going to move and switch over to the work that we are doing on the Equal Rights Amendment. So I want to bring up my board member, Katie Hornung, who runs Vote Equality, to let us know where we are currently on the Equal Rights Amendment and what we are going to be doing. And then I will talk about our new campaign for our democracy centers. So Katie, take it away.
Oh, thank you so much, Andrea. And I do have a little slide presentation. As soon as I turn it on, I'm not going to be able to see the chat or anything. So if anything cool comes up in the chat while I'm screen sharing, just know that I can't see it, but I'm happy to respond. And Andrea is welcome to interrupt me whenever throughout the presentation.
And Stairs here too.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so let me see here. I'm going to screen share the other screen. Oh, you know. Oh, shoot. I tell you, Zoom just keeps having so much fun. You used to be able to share just like your second monitor, whatever was on it. And with that, that has gone away. And I don't know why they took that away because that makes things easy.
Most people don't have two monitors.
I know,
but it didn't bother anybody again. I don't know what they were thinking. So get it moved over to one.
I'm going to move it over, and I'm not going to actually turn on the presentation from a playing full screen perspective, but this will work well enough.
All right.
So let's see.
Katie and I are going to be in California, so we both fly out on St. Patrick's Day.
Yes, it is. I hope that is a safe day to be on planes and that people are not going too crazy at the airports. All right.
There we go.
So we'll just share in that way. And so actually I can now see chat on my other spot. So, okay. Okay, so thanks, Andrea, for having me. I am Katie Hornung, and as Andrea said, I'm a board member on Center for Common Ground, and Center for Common Ground is the fiscal sponsor of the campaign that I run called Vote Equality. I ran it was called VA Ratify ERA, and I ran that here in Virginia to make sure we were the 38th state to ratify. And after we finished that, we took a little bit of a breath, and part of the team went in the direction of working on policy in Virginia for women, and the other part of the team shifted to a more national focus to take our band of merrymakers nationwide. And so Vote Equality is what we call our little bit of fun that we have. And we have a wide variety of activities that are really just designated to bring people toward a campaign and want to engage with it. So who are we? We are an inclusive, diverse, nonpartisan grassroots effort, and we are solely focused on the Equal Rights Amendment. We don't post on other issues, generally speaking, and we just all day, every day, it's all about gender equality in the Constitution. I did go ahead and throw in a slide with the actual wording of the amendment, because sometimes people get a little like, wait a minute, that's it? That's all that the words are? That's not even difficult. Why are we having a hard time passing that? And yes, I agree. So it's just 24 simple words: equality of rights under the law shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. It is modeled after the 19th Amendment. And generally speaking, there's only 6 new words there. All those other words are already in our Constitution. So this really shouldn't be hard. We're just basically giving women the right to vote. And now it is really taking equality to a much larger concept. And it's also, at this point, we know it to be gender equality because of a Supreme Court Bostock ruling where they defined sex to include the LGBT plus community. So, it's been a while, been over 100 years since the 19th Amendment. And so now here we are, full equality and having it gender equality, not just women's equality. So it's been 2 years. You'll see Section 3 says this amendment shall take effect 2 years after the date of ratification. That passed this past January. And so we are publishing an updated pocket constitution. If you're a Constitution nerd, you may have multiple pocket constitutions otherwise. Those people seem to be more lawyers and politicians than anybody else. But if you like a little 4x6 inch little constitution that you can throw in your bag and take with you, we do have it available, and you can get to all these links straight off of our website, which is on the bottom of every slide, voteequality.us. Our pocket constitution is particularly inclusive in that we have a little bit of fun with the including the Goddard broadside. A very little known fact is that there is a woman who signed the Declaration of Independence, and she was the printer. It was kind of dangerous to print it back in those days. And she was like, sure, I'll print this. And she added her name to it. So we included that version of the Declaration of Independence in our pocket constitution. So on our campaign, our goals here are basically educating to spread the word, motivating to change that status quo, attracting to build momentum and build a real movement for this human rights issue, and empower people to take action. Those are our 4 big kind of mission, vision driven words. And we try to live that all the time through all of our activities. Everything we do is designed in this manner. We are trying to attract people through having fun. We're not trying to make anybody feel badly because they've maybe done other crazy things in other days or might be a recovering misogynist. We want them to join the campaign too. And so this is kind of like our goal is always to just be having fun and to be building a beautiful, joyful celebration of equality. And to that end, our big effort that we have been working on that is launching next, not this coming weekend, but the one after it launches in Oakland, we call it Artists for ERA. And I think anybody that knows, I think anything about anything knows that artists show us the way, especially with the visuals, with the sounds, with the production values. Like, I think you can look at any issue and it is only made better by bringing art to the table. And so when we were getting the ERA ratified in Virginia, we didn't have a ton of art. We had some great graphic design, but that was about where it kind of started and ended because we were on a really big, fast push. We had some musicians, we had some performance art, but we didn't have a lot of fine art. And so I was at Stair's house about 2 years ago, or right before COVID started. And I was talking to a woman who had flown in from Europe, and she said something about, well, why is this not making traction? What do you think we need? And I said, I think we need artists at the table. I think we need to let everybody start to visualize what this new future could look like for the country. And separately, unbeknownst to me, there was a woman out in California who was really tinkering with the idea of what can I do for the ERA? And she happens to be a PR specialist. And as she would tell you, she makes already rich men much richer. That's her general gig during the day. And she said, I want to use my powers for good and not evil. And so she has turned her effort to helping us on a level that I just couldn't have even imagined a year ago, or even maybe 6 months ago even. And so this first slide, the graphic on the left is from an activist artist, and the graphic on the right is from a very, very famous, I'm told, probably one of the top 2 famous artists in the entire world, right up there with Banksy. This is from Shepard Fairey, and you might recognize his style from the Obama Hope poster or the Women's March postcards and such. And so we have 28 artists, and I'll just kind of flip through some of the art because it's super fun. We have 28 artists that have put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into some beautiful imagery. It is a combination of fine artists and graphic designers. So like on the left here, you'll see this is Dee Dee Cherriel's fine art piece, and it's called Working Woman. I think that, I think you've got the workhorse in the field picking the radishes. I kind of love this one. And then Nicole LaRue is the artist who did the graphic design on the right. And she is the woman who did the, well, not only did she do the Women's March logo, but she also has recently finished a graphic novel design with a friend of mine, Kate Kelly. It's coming out March 29th, and it's all about the Equal Rights Amendment. And so Nicole put in the graphics, Kate put in the story, and it's getting rave reviews. I cannot wait to have my hands on a copy. We have, again, more graphic design. We even have, this is by Claw Money, who she is a graffiti artist in New York City, and she's sometimes called the Grand Dame of graffiti in New York City. So that was a pretty fun one. This is a husband-wife art duo, and the woman did the piece on the left and the guy did the piece on the right. And so you can see that there's just a wide variety of imagery. We didn't, as a campaign, ask them to do anything in particular. We didn't say we want it to be this or this color palette or tell the story or anything. We just said, here's the issue. help us update, make the graphics more inclusive. Those of you who have been in the American South, this piece on the left is very Southern to me, and this artist is from down in the Atlanta area. The piece in the middle is from a San Francisco area artist, and the one on the right is from a DC area artist. I think she may be in Annandale. And again, mix of fine art, graphic design, lots of symbolism. And it's super fun. My kid says the one on the right here would make an excellent like rock album cover. So if we can come up with like a rock album for the ERA, maybe that could be our cover. And our art shop, or our print shop, has had the honor of printing some of these artists' art, and this one on the left is Gilda Posada, and it is so vibrant in person, and that black is so dark black and the red is just so vibrant. It is amazing. Dave Young Kim, the Korean letters mean equality, and his piece is also absolutely beautiful. Gabe Galt is on the left. He's a fine artist. Amir Kadar is the artist on the right, and they are just kind of starting out artist in the Philadelphia area. So we, in this collection, Dabney was really trying to make the effort to make it available to everybody. And we knew that we had some very famous artists and some very fine artists, and we would have some graphic designers, but we also wanted some young artists and some new artists. And so Amir's piece is one of my favorite in the entire collection. And Amir does not have the following that many of the others do, but we hope through this event that perhaps more people will start following Amir. The piece on the left is actually going to be, the original is actually going to be auctioned at the event on March 20th at like a private event, I guess, in Oakland. Well, actually it's more in San Francisco. Deepak is hosting at his home. And for any of you who are in that California area, if you would like to be there, it's going to be a ton of fun. Andrea and I will be there, Deepak and all of Deepak's friends that he's inviting. Fortunately, he's like, invite everybody. I'm like, Deepak, I don't know that many people on the far coast, 3,000 miles away, but I do know a few. I did invite a couple. The piece on the right is a collaboration between father and daughter, and we're not positive. I can't wait to meet him and ask the details, but we think maybe she did the back design and then he painted her into the picture is what we think happened. But it's super cute. And then that brings us to pretty much everybody's favorite, Chuck Sperry's piece. Chuck Sperry is a famous designer. He, I believe, lives in the Haight-Ashbury area of San Francisco, and he does a lot of rock album covers. He's most famous, I believe, and most collected for his Widespread Panic album covers, but I know he's done a number of other bands, and he has jumped into this project with both feet. And not only is he providing this beautiful artwork, he is also going to help us do fundraising so that we can give 6,000 to 8,000 of these posters away from our vehicle tours. And then he's also helped working with us on a collaboration of updating the vehicle, the graphics and the wrap. So for our next steps, we're launching on March 19th with the fundraiser at Deepak's house the day after. Some of the limited edition prints will be available on the website that day, and some of them will be there in person that day. We are going to have the prints on the website on and off. We are planning to have a number of these. It's going to be a traveling art show, and anytime the art is being shown, that'll be the day that it's available for purchase on the website. And in that way, we hope that we're kind of trickling it out a little, which helps from a fulfillment side of things, but it also helps to make sure that we don't have this traveling art exhibit and only like the people who went to numbers 1, 2, and 3 get all the art. So we're trying to turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off. So if any of that really spoke to you, we do have limited edition prints, and those will be available off our website, off the Square page. Like if you go to votequality.us, there's a donate button, and that takes you to our Square, donor, what we call them, donor gift shop, and donations are much appreciated, and some donations have gifts that come with them, kind of like your local NPR station. And so this is kind of our next steps, and I thought I would remind everybody who may or may not already know. So this is the RVG as she is currently dressed up. We were naming her right around the time that Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away. And since it's an RV, with COVID, we have done other tours with other types of vehicles, but with COVID, we felt like it was really safer for the people touring to not be going in and out of lots of different places. And so this allows people to sequester a little better to have it in an RV. And so this is our selfie station on the RVG, and these kids are obviously having lots of fun with it. And so this is what we'll be covering up, which is a little sad. I love, love, love this design, but we have lots of pictures, and she's been out and about since, well, I guess really since 2020. So it's about time to, get ready for the next set of elections. The RV, we believe, is going to be touring in a similar path that she toured last big federal election, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. We may dip over to Alabama. We may dip into Florida. We may come up and go around Virginia a little. But for the most part, we think we'll be visiting a lot of the Vote Your Power centers through North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. So that should be fun. Our team is also looking at the idea of Sprinter vans, and if we have Sprinter vans, we can go to some more mountainous areas. And for the ERA, there's going to be a state ERA on Nevada's ballot this November. So we want to go support them. They have written a different ERA that is very, very inclusive. Their language is fabulous. And so we just don't really want to give any ground to anybody who's anti-equality. So we may put a Sprinter van out in Arizona and Nevada, and then maybe kind of run up Wyoming, Montana, because we know a lot of those frontier women are strong and powerful, and they consider themselves equal. And we suspect they might not like to hear that their gender equality is not yet in the Constitution. So we're hopeful that will galvanize and get some people going. In particular, our campaign believes that until we can get everybody working on this issue and everybody seeing themselves in this issue, right now, both Republicans and Democrats have very much politicized this issue. They've kind of reduced it to bathrooms and abortion. And that is not true at all, because equality is big. It's much bigger than any one issue. And at the end of the day, the most important thing is that our Constitution should hold all of our value statements, and everything that we want to hold ourselves accountable to. The interpretations will change over the years. You never know what a constitutional amendment does or does not actually mean until 20 to 50 years later, because it takes a bit of time for things to go through the courts and for judgments to be made. And so all of these issues, everything that's impacting gender equality, they're all on the table, and this is a good time right now. If we want to get a little tiny bit wonky for just a minute, where does it stand? How is it going to get published, et cetera? So all the ratifications are done. It has not been published by the archivist, which is the usual course of events. The Trump administration, in my opinion, overstepped its bounds. The executive branch should not have any role to play in a constitutional amendment. So two of the states, Illinois and Nevada, are kind of suing and going through the judicial branch to have it published, certified and published. And then a lot of advocates are focused on the legislative branch to get them to acknowledge it, just like they did with the 27th Amendment. Our 27th Amendment took over 200 years to ratify and be added to the Constitution. So this kind of feels like 50 years shouldn't be that big a deal for people, since our last amendment took over 200. So there are people working on the judicial strategy and on the legislative strategy. I will say that reading the tea leaves, neither looks particularly fantastic, but that is why our little gritty street team, which is how we like to think of ourselves, our gritty little street team is going to start going out and making a lot of noise, a lot of joyful noise, bringing everybody together. And I believe that if we can amplify the issue large enough, that maybe, just maybe, when the Supreme Court has the opportunity, they might choose to pick this up and add it into the Constitution. So I don't believe that the Senate is probably going to act this year. I don't know that a lot of people say that out loud, but we kind of got some indicators about a year ago. And after processing a 3 to 6 month depression, we got up off the floor and we said, okay, fine, let's keep going. What do we do next? And so this is where we're going. And so overall, this is our whole job, like amplifying, advocate, we're getting sponsorships and creating impact. And so We really welcome everybody to join the fun. We are going to have lots of opportunities where we've got people that can help us on fundraising and getting people who want to make sure that that art gets into their local coffee shop or their local school or their local HBCU, community college, four-year institution. That is one of the most important things for us, is just to spread the word. We believe spreading the word visually is going to bring more people in. And so this is our heart song that we're putting out there, and everybody's welcome to join. There is a spot for everybody here, and please just come help us out. We would appreciate it.
Thank you very, very much, Katie. Thank you. Thank you. One of the other things that is going on is when the archivist failed to publish the Equal Rights Amendment, Congresswoman Jackie Speer, who carried the amendment to remove the ratification deadline, immediately drafted another piece of legislation that currently has 156 sponsors, or at least it did yesterday. It is resolution HR 891, which basically says that the Equal Rights Amendment is done and it just needs to be published. So as you all know, or maybe you didn't know, it takes 18 votes to pass something in the House. Unfortunately, this would be at that 60 vote threshold in the Senate, because it is not a budget amendment, nor is it a Supreme Court justice nomination. So that's where we are currently with the Equal Rights Amendment. Now, I'm going to share my screen for just a moment, because we have, many of you have seen the palm cards that we have developed for our democracy centers. This will be one of the new items that goes on the palm cards: equal pay for women of color. We tested this among many of our democracy center leaders, and they loved it. If many people followed the Equal Rights Amendment, you probably realized in most of the imagery that you saw, they only showed you images of white women. Since our democracy centers are always going to be in BIPOC communities, we wanted to lift up our Black, Indigenous, AAPI, Asian American, Pacific Islander, and Native American and Hispanic women, and make sure that they knew that we see you, we feel your pain, we understand that while white women are at 78 cents to a white man's dollar, if you are a woman of color, then your dollar amount is significantly less. Our Asian American women are closest, and our Latina sisters are all the way at the bottom of the barrel. So we are still tweaking numbers, tweaking what that bottom is going to say. Rather than we need the Equal Rights Amendment, maybe it says publish the Equal Rights Amendment, but this will be done very, very shortly, and it will be coming out on those beautiful palm cards that the democracy centers distribute while they are canvassing. So I am more than happy, Katie and I, to address any questions you may have on the Equal Rights Amendment, on our Equal Pay for Women of Color campaign, or anything else. As I said, tonight It's family night. This is all internal. This is all about us. We've been overrun with electeds and famous people. All right, are we good? Oh, all right, let me read. All right, someone who could work on getting these messages out to women. Working as women, go to jail for having a miscarriage. At this point, we are not working on the pregnancy issue nationally. My background is on the Equal Rights Amendment. I've worked since 2013 on basically remove the ratification deadline forward and working in the states to get 3 more states to ratify the amendment. So that what you're suggesting, that is a very specialized area where people need to go. And that is not something that I can give that justice. So I'm going back to my ERA roots. I started working on the Equal Rights Amendment when I was 11 years old. I was 68 on Saturday. So that has me with 57 years on the ERA.
Too darn long.
Hey, I'm still here. I'm still here and still fighting. So I guess I get to be one of your gritty activists.
Yeah, you're one of our marathoners.
Yeah, been in this for the long haul. Oh, Stare, go ahead. Yeah, I see you there. Here, I'm going to go ahead, Stare. You can unmute.
Right. Here I am. Okay, good.
Hey.
Hey. So super great to see you all this weekend, or I call it a weekend, but it was just yesterday or it was this morning. I went to your call to action here, and I thought that that was really good. And I noticed that I was the first person, equal pay for women of color, Hispanic, 54, as you said, all the way down to, or all the way up to the high of Asian, 97.97, 97 cents, which is, gosh, good, right? I mean, that's kind of interesting.
It's not equal, but it's closer.
Right. So, and I hadn't reflected on that. And when we start to write these letters, it actually says, what category do you want to put this letter in as you send it to your Congress or as your senator? And then, and so where do we put it?
I think you can put it in so many places because
right. So that's what I mean. I just thought I'd make that as a topic.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now, Stare. And
right, your letter topic is I was going down to family.
Yeah,
that was family. Right, family. Yep. So let's just do family. Yeah, okay, so good. I just wanted to make that mention, and how I think that these, I'm trying to be more of a supporter of Action Network as well. So I encourage others to be so as well.
Oh, thank you, Sarah. And remember your objection that you couldn't easily add events to their calendar. They fixed
I
that.
know they, you know what? I complained for a few years, and I know that now.
Yes.
And I'm watching that feature, and I'm learning so much more too. So I'll get there.
All right. Very, very good.
Thank you.
I saw a question in the chat. What about legislation that they passed in the 60s? They passed all kinds of legislation for equal pay for equal work. Some of you may remember during President Obama's tenure, there was the Lilly Ledbetter case. The ruling ultimately came down from the Supreme Court that said, since there is nothing in the Constitution about sex, then there's no protection. It's not against the law to discriminate on account of sex. So basically, for me, as a Black woman, There is constitutional law that says you cannot discriminate against me on the basis of my race, but you can discriminate against me all day long on the basis that I'm a woman. So that is where we are right now legally. Women are second-class citizens. We have the ability to vote, but we are not equal to men. Any other questions? People are, I'm imagining some people, their heads are exploding about now going, what? That's where we are, people. That's where we are. This may be something that we've never done before. We may, well, again, it's all family. We may have an opportunity to be done early. I'm going to get a glass of wine if that happens. All right, anybody else? And Stare, I loved your comment. Any of my Democracy Center leaders, raise your hand and then I'll unmute you. They're going, nope, we're good, we're quiet. Oh, I want to thank BJ. I didn't walk over to see you while we were down in Selma, but our Roanoke Democracy Center folks made the New York Times. The New York Times did a story on Reverend Barber and his trip to Selma, and they showed the bridge crossing. And in that photograph, you see the great big Center for Common Ground banner. And on the side, you can see Roanoke, VA. So congratulations, Roanoke. Congratulations. Well, give me a second, Stare. Let me see if I can remember who
Someone else
earth.
put it in, hon. Someone else put it in.
Yeah, I got
Right.
it, Andrea.
Right. Someone else
I'll
put
put
it
it in again.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Yeah. Yeah. It's a great image. Absolutely great image. All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down to it.
Wait, I put in the wrong New York Times thing. This is about interesting too about redistricting. I need to find the right article though. I'll get it to you guys in a second.
All right. All right. It should be on our Slack channel.
Someone was asking where we can get graphics of the equal pay card you just showed. I guess when you're done.
Well, it is not finalized yet.
Right.
So as soon as we finalize it, then we will do something with it. Yes, it will appear on all of our palm cards, but I'm thinking we may want to turn it into a large button. I'm not sure what we're going to want to do with it, but we are going to want all of our family to be able to have it. Yes, Josie is probably, here we go. We got it. Yes, William Barber. All right. Yes, modern day Moses. And all right, here we go. Here we go. I want everybody to see this. And BJ, I don't know if you've seen that. There it is, Center for Common Ground, Roanoke, Virginia. That just really made me smile.
Love that.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So yes, Center for Common Ground, and a huge shout out to Collins, to Doug and EC, our Alabama team, who manned a tent at the Jubilee. It was wonderful, fabulous, fabulous trip to Selma. All right. Do we have anything else? My Democracy Center leaders.
I saw Frank raised his hand for a minute.
Oh, Frank, all righty. Oh yeah, we definitely have some interesting things. Here you go, Frank.
Hello, everyone. Katie, so proud of you and the work that you've done. Congratulations. Love the artwork. Really was, the question that I had was, I wanted to hear more about the plan after the exhibit in California. I heard you said you wanted to get into some coffee shops and want to know how the democracy centers could help promote that campaign or promote that work. So just anything that you can throw out there that would give us a sense of direction as where we can take the lead on that or take the point on that in the field, just let us know.
Oh, I appreciate that. We are actually going to have a little bit of a strategic retreat, April 1 through 4. And I think we'll have a much better plan after we have those couple of days. Well, we got to get through March 19th and then a couple of days to kind of digest it and do that. I believe a couple of the Democracy Center leaders are going to be with us when we're working on that strategic plan. And I'm hopeful that we will specifically discuss the ERA and the vote equality campaign and the vehicle and the art specifically with just the democracy centers. I mean, we have a lot of plans for a lot of other groups. And one of the things we have always tried to do is just make our assets available. Like, we consider them campaign assets, but we create them so that they can spread the word anywhere. And that's what we did when we were doing VA Ratify, is we made everything available to anybody throughout the state for ideas, and you can pass a resolution, and here's how you do that, and here's how you do all these pieces. And we're planning to do that same thing with the art, that we will, make things available. We'll make, where somebody can, host a little, like a small gathering, and we're hopeful to take people who want to fund things like that and have them pick areas, or let us pick areas that will be highest impact for get out the vote and for getting voters to come out to registration events, as well as coming out to see the vehicle and such. So we are working on a lot of that. I don't have those very specific calls to action yet, but they're just a couple weeks away. So we should have them pretty soon.
Well, that was perfect, right? Because that's what I really wanted to hear you say, that we would be able to have access to that artwork and be able to feature it at some of our Democracy Center events or some of our campaigns. I've heard about the retreat, caught wind of it from Andrea. So I'll look forward to hearing what comes out of that and what all these great minds will come up with. So looking forward to it. So thanks.
Great, thanks. Thanks, Frank.
All right, great, Frank. And Josie, do you want to walk people through some of our upcoming Thursday nights? Josie, and then Monica Rodriguez. I see your hand is up.
Yes, just 1 second. So I don't think we have anything next week or the week after, because you'll be in California. Monica, if you want to go ahead and ask your question first, I can then go afterwards. I'm just trying to pull up the dates.
All right, Monica, I'm getting your microphone now. There you go. You can unmute now.
Sorry about that. This has been really great. I have a really sort of nitty-gritty question for you. You put a Twitter link in here for us to amplify. What hashtags do you use, and what is your it's basically it. Like, what hashtags do you think are good for amplifying this?
I'll put some in the chat. I think these are the right ones for the moment. They change them up a lot, but voting rights now is one. It's actually a good question, because I was looking at some a few minutes ago. So I'll add some more to the chat, and I'll be sending the follow-up email for folks because Nancy's on vacation, and I can always put that tweet in again and add some more hashtags.
What I usually do with these is we usually have kind of a list. You start to put them in, you can see if anything's trending or what's getting a lot of
yeah. Selma 57 is another one.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Thank you.
course.
All right, great. Thanks, Monica. Now, one of the other notes that's in the chat is our Cobb County Democracy Center. They are planning a policy advocacy action planning session, and they are inviting anybody that wants to be a part of that to join in. We've created a brand new course. I did it working with them. It was their outline. It was wonderful. Civic literacy, policy advocacy. They are now building out the third part of that course, which is designed to be more hands-on. What do the activities look like? So if you would be interested in planning that session or joining it, in the chat, it is bit.ly/Cobb Dem Center. So Cobb, COBB, Dem Center, all small letters, bit.ly/Cobb Dem Center, all one long word. So thanks, Dr. Monica. All right, I think, oh, go ahead, Josie.
I'm ready. This will be really quick. So for the rest of March, the only other upcoming Looking Forward in Federal webinar we have is on March 24th with, I hope I say her last name correctly, Susan Bizowicz. She is the Connecticut Lieutenant Governor, I believe. Carol, you can correct me in the chat.
Susan Bizowicz. She is
Thank
the
you.
Lieutenant Governor. She was the former Secretary of State of Connecticut. She runs the, there's a Women and Girls Forum here, a governor's committee on women and girls. So that is absolutely her focus.
Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you. Yeah. So we'll be hearing from her. And then on April 14th, we'll be hearing from Carolyn Maloney. She is one of the other authors of this new resolution that I have the call to action out for. So we'll be hearing from her on the ERA on April 14th. And then I'm very excited because he's my congressman, Congressman Hakeem Jeffries.
Rub it in. Rub it in.
I know. What can I say? Will be speaking with us all on April 28th. He'll also be joining a closed session with our Democracy Center leaders, which is really exciting to get some insight on how to effectively message and engage Black voters in the South. So that's just something really cool to uplift. And that's all for now, but I will keep you all updated once we get even more great speakers.
And thanks, Josie. So Democracy Center leaders, the invite for that is going to come out on your special Democracy Center leader circle. So I'm working on the invite, and then John will get it out on your outreach circle. We should have it out, if not by this weekend, by early next week. So if wait a minute, I see one more hand. At least I think I do. Let's see if I, no, that's just, oh, yes, it's you again. Hey, Frank.
Again. It's me again. All right. I didn't want to get off course until we had finished with Katie's topic and presentation. Wanted to put one more thing here in the chat and bring your attention to tomorrow. We are doing a press conference for the Virginia Credit Union. We have been here in Richmond, Democracy Center, been running a stealth campaign that we're now about to publicize. We have been trying to encourage the Virginia Credit Union to behave like a credit union and not like a mini bank, and provide their own member owners with the opportunity to elect, as a democratic co-op should, new board members, which they have not. They have actually hand-selected 2 incumbents and 1 new person that they are putting into that role. We actually had 2 Democracy Center leaders and at least 2 others Katie was one of those candidates who submitted an application, as well as Richard Walker, who is a friend of the Center for Common Ground, Bridge the Gap VA, as many of you may know. And we were all told that we were all excellent candidates, but we would not be nominated or part of the nominating process. So we are holding a press conference to let the world know that this is not democratic, this is not the behavior of a co-op, and that this is a sham election. So we are inviting you to join us. The link has been posted in the chat. It's at 12 o'clock. Sorry, Stare. I know that's during the power lunch. But if any of you can join us, we would love to have your support.
Yeah, so noon tomorrow. And I also just stuck a link to the press release that went out today. And that press release has done fairly well, Frank. We've got 327 hits.
Nice. Great job.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So 12 noon tomorrow. And then what are the CTA? That's a little cryptic there, even for me. You unmute, Stare. You got a question in the link.
So sorry. So I already signed it. I do know about this board issue, and there's a call to action. Do you want to put that link in the chat? Is what I was trying to say.
All righty.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Over here being brain dead going CTA. What is that? All right. Yes, we've got way too many of those. I will drop that link in just a second. I am grabbing it now. Only my computer is running in slow motion because
I got
I'm
it,
also
Andrea.
on Zoom. Make sure you use our link.
Oh, don't use the link I use. Never mind.
Right. Use our link. It's the really long one. All right. There's the link. Thanks.
It
Thanks
shows
for
the
reminding
referrer
me,
group.
Stare.
Yeah.
Thanks for reminding me. Yep. All right. We have covered the world. We have talked about voting rights. We have talked about Alabama, North Carolina, and Georgia. We will get the data on Texas probably at the end of April, early May. There's a 90-day window between when an election is run and we actually get the individual data back on what individuals voted. So we are not going to see that until May. So meanwhile, our postcard has launched now. Phone bankings will begin launching next week. Texting will launch in 2 weeks, because I normally like to be a little closer to the election, because we will be able to reach so many people faster with texting. We have talked about the Equal Rights Amendment. We have invited you to an art opening in Oakland, and then a reception in San Francisco, and finally a press conference on democratizing credit unions in Virginia. This is the first salvo of what we hope will be a nationwide campaign. So again, we never just ask people to vote. We always make sure people understand why they're voting and what they want to accomplish with and for their voting. So thank you all so very much for joining us tonight. We're only a couple minutes over, so we are basically on time. I will be in California next week. So someone else will be running our Zoom. It won't be me. I'll be getting off the plane when we should be doing this. So thank you all very much. The links and the recording will be coming out. So thank you all and good night.